I think it's surrounding yourself with like-minded people who always have ambitious goals, and they talk about them. They don't keep them to themselves. They talk about them, and you encourage them to talk about them.
Yeah, like we got a leg workout in on Sunday, and holy crap, man! Like she does a ton of leg movements. So I did some snatches while she was warming up. Then we did back squats. Then we did back squats, Romanian deadlifts, leg press, Bulgarian split squats, goblet squats.
Bro, what is it with women in these crazy ass long legs? Dude, I picked like 5.
They want the back buns. You know what I mean? That's the buns. That's it.
Bro, I can't see, like, because I usually am going so heavy and so hard that after the first 4 sets, like 4 full sets of different movements, each movement being 4 sets in itself, I just can't imagine like doing that many. Lyric, we did a leg day together and she rolled up, wanting to do like 8 things. I was like, all right, first of all, you're going to cut that shit in half.
She said 9. I was like, I usually do 1 heavy movement and I just focus on that. Like,
right.
And then I call it. Like,
exactly. Dude, I do the same thing. Pick 1 heavy for the day. I split my leg days into, am I doing quad heavy or am I doing hamstring and butt heavy that day?
Yeah, that's it. So Jeff, tell me, how was your recent Portland trip? What did you guys do? Tell me a little about it.
Portland is a very beautiful city, and we love it. My wife and I love it, I think, so much because it reminds us so much of San Diego. It's a very walkable city, I think, which is the part of the big attraction for it. So we were there for like 4 days, and I think we walked about 40 miles. You can walk everywhere in that city, from one end to the other. Like, you know how San Diego, the neighborhoods are all separated by highways? It's like, once you're in the neighborhood, you can walk around, but you can't get from downtown to here in San Diego without a car. And so Portland kind of has taken all that, even though it gets a lot of bad press on the internet, which I'm aware of, but it's a fantastic city, and the locals there really love it, and they'll defend it to the end of the earth.
I think one thing I never asked you is what initially sparked the interest in Portland or Oregon?
That's a good question. So Oregon is, so my wife really loves to hike. She loves the outdoors. And so, we've just been in San Diego for a long time, like almost 10 years. As you know, the military brought me out here. I think and then I got out and we bought a house, and, things have been great. But what has kind of shifted us towards moving is the climate change is becoming really evident here, with the summers getting like just brutally hot, the like water drought issues getting progressively worse. And so, that kind of motivated us to look for somewhere else. And it has to be a city, because we're city people. And it has to be cheaper than California, which is pretty much everywhere except for New York.
Yeah.
But, we have been to cities all over the country, and just something about Portland speaks to us, man. They got the food, they got the people, the infrastructure, and just the way the city spends its money, which is really important to me. I vote in all our local elections here, and I'm like a big proponent of how cities spend their money. So I plan to be more active, actually, in the community up there than I am here.
Nice.
So, yeah, just something new.
And you said coffee too, right?
Oh, yeah. I think Portland probably has one of the best coffee cities in the whole nation, definitely in the top 5 for sure. And we've been to like maybe 10, 12 different coffee shops in our 2 trips up there, and everyone was an absolute banger. Just perfect coffees, dude. Because in the winter, we went for the winter, so I was getting all hot drinks, like cappuccinos, cortados, just hot black coffees, pour-overs. And then we went up there in the winter, and so we're doing the summer. We just got back. So we were there up in the hot months, and getting all iced drinks. And just like, my wife had an ube latte. Yes. So it was like purple, and it was just absolutely delicious, man. We had coffee in like a double-decker bus. Like, people just bought this old double-decker bus and they just parked it on the side of the street somewhere, and you just go up into the bus, you order your coffee, and you sit up in the top deck of this bus and you just chill. You have your coffee, man. It's just like they have so many just weird things like that in Portland, just weird businesses and weird spots, and it's just like a very unique kind of place.
It keeps it interesting, right? To go and do things.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
And everyone there is just very young. There's a lot of millennials in that city. So you walk around and it's just like 90% of the time you're interacting with people that are the same age as us. So people in their 30s, late 20s, early 30s, you know, so.
Do you think a lot of people are moving there from like other places like New York or
I don't think so.
San Diego?
I think that Portland has had so much bad press the last couple of years. What's funny is they get bad press for the problems that all the other cities have. Like San Diego, we have homeless and drugs and expensive housing, and you name it, we've probably got it if it's city related. Same with New York, same with like Atlanta, it's another big city. So I don't know, man. I think that the more the climate changes, the more people in the whole southern hemisphere of the U.S. are going to start shifting up. I think Portland's going to be one of the like premier cities in the next 10 years. I really do.
I could see that. It's close to so much too, right?
It is, yeah.
The Bay's like not too far. Then you got Seattle. So when I went not too long, actually it's been a couple years, I took the drive from Seattle to Portland.
It's beautiful,
it was like,
dude. And you know, people might disagree with me, people that watch your channel, but if you want to live in a city, you're a city person, you're going to live in a city and you know what they come with and that doesn't bother you. And if you're like, nah, forget the city, I don't want to deal with all that, that crap, then you're going to live out in, the Midwest or the middle states. And, that's cool too. But people are going to go where they like to be.
I think the walkable thing that you're saying is
huge.
So great. I've like recently experienced it. I'm just like, it's so nice.
Because you're from the Bay, you walk everywhere there.
I don't have to drive. Like, I want to walk to the gym. Okay, it was like 20-minute walk, but I get my steps in, or like a coffee or some food. Car doesn't even have to move. Like I love driving, but sometimes it's like I don't want to take out the car for 15 minutes to get some food, come back. And
if you can walk there safely, it motivates you to walk. And me and you, we're walking people,
yes.
And so does my wife, so is your girlfriend. We're all walking people, and that is just like it's huge for us. So just being able to walk places.
Agreed. I want to start with a question that's to me very important that I like to start with, and it's, what does success mean to you personally?
That's a good question, and it's a tough question. I feel like most people would probably say success equals money, and I think to a small extent that's true. Because you need a certain amount of money. There's a threshold for how much money somebody needs to make to be happy, right? You need a roof over your head. Ideally, you want to go into a grocery store and be able to get whatever you want without having to really look at prices. You need your personal needs to be met, maybe a little bit of time for vacation as well as like hobbies and stuff. And you want your family to be taken care of. And then everything after that is just extra. And so I think somebody is successful when they have met, in this economy at least, I think someone is successful when they have met their needs and are happy and content with what they're doing. I mean, I find more happiness spending time with my wife and my cats than I do, in my expensive car or my expensive computer or so just like all these things. It's like, yeah, they're really nice to have, and I'm really proud of like the stuff I've accomplished, but I think people should measure success based on like what makes them happy, what their goals are. And if their goal is to be, filthy rich, then good for them. Don't step on people to get there. That's a whole other conversation, but yeah.
Do you have any other avenues that you could think of that you'd say, in life for you, it's like success? Like you could say maybe, hey, having a cup of coffee in the morning, being able to have a cup of coffee, that freedom to have a cup of coffee in the morning, that's like it could be a form of success, or like anything, literally anything that just for you is meaningful in that sense.
Absolutely. I think that if you're able to integrate something meaningful into your day that not everyone else has maybe the privilege to do, a lot of people can't afford to have a cup of coffee every day if you're going out. But if part of what makes you happy, part of maybe kind of what keeps you going through the day is stopping somewhere and just having a cup of coffee, regardless of what like the financial experts say online about having to save every single penny. Like, life is short, you got to be responsible, but you also have to live. And so I think doing things in moderation, if that makes you happy, that's just the way that you have to do things.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things where like exactly what you said. Oh no, that $5 cup of coffee, like you should not have it. Like,
Yeah.
no, you need to save it. And then like someone else will like counter argue of like, well, if you really like calculate it, it's not like a whole bunch as long as it's in moderation.
Exactly. And you know, I mean, a lot of people know, it's no secret that, you know, wages are stagnant and people are just not making enough money. The houses and rent is just like insane, you know, these days in most places. And having a cup of coffee every day should not be the barrier between somebody advancing, but people like to treat it like it is. You know, these small things, these small indulgences that we allow ourselves to have. I think people should just maybe have more opportunity to advance without having to just live their life on like the edge of poverty.
In your path to what you just defined as your definition of success, what would you say are some challenges that you've experienced, you know, in whatever facets of life in regards to, let's say, imposter syndrome, negative thoughts, or any form of like self-doubt? You know, as you know, because like you said, there is one definition of like people see it as like having a lot of money is success, you know, or like you say, you know, for you, like success is like being able to spend time with your wife and your cats, you know, that's like a form of success for you. So in that whole process, what are some challenges you faced?
I didn't realize that the imposter syndrome was such like a widespread thing until you brought it up a few months ago. And I was like, man, I never thought about that, because it's just like,
Yes.
I mean, we're both in IT. And so you know that the domain of knowledge in IT is just like enormous. I mean, there's a reason that there are so many jobs in IT. And so, you know me, I work in cybersecurity and I love what I do and I love the company I work for. But I am arguably, or inarguably, I think is the correct word, the youngest person on my team at 30 years old with 10 years of experience. I'm like the baby. I mean, we still have like intern. I know it is. It's crazy, man. And we still have like, you know, interns coming in and younger guys. I'm not the youngest anymore, but I used to be for the longest time. But still, my coworkers, 15, 20 years, 25 years in IT, because, you know, most of them are in their late 30s, early 40s, some even mid 50s, and they have been working in IT since like the conception of the home internet, you know, back in like the early 90s, late 80s, whenever it came around. It could be earlier than that, I'm not sure, but they've worked in this space their whole lives when things were very simple, and now they've become built up. And so when I'm in meetings with these guys who just know so much, I sit there and I'm like, man, how, like, do I even know what I'm doing? Like, do I deserve to make the paycheck that I'm making? Like, what am I doing here? And I think the way that I have found that I can overcome my imposter syndrome is you need to remind yourself that you're not a fake. You did the interviews, right? You got the job, you were offered the job, you were selected over probably hundreds of other applicants, depending on the size of the company, sometimes thousands. And you're there, and you know, if you find that your teammates are coming to you, asking you questions, even if you don't know the answer, if you're someone who can take a question or a problem and research the heck out of it and find the solution, I do not believe that person's an imposter. You don't have to know everything. You just have to make an effort to find the answer. So that's how I personally overcome my imposter syndrome. When I don't know something, I give it my best effort to find out before I have to go bother my teammates about it. And even when I do, they're always very helpful. Not a toxic environment at all. So you should be supportive of your teammates, and they should be supportive of you, ideally, in a good work environment.
It's wild that you say that, you know, you got 10 years of experience where like in a lot of places that's your senior, that's like super, like real senior level, right? And like, but you still get that feeling, which is intense. I feel like I see a correlation between the comparison, right? Because how you said the people that you work with have been doing this since, I don't know, let's say 20 plus years, right? So I guess maybe it could be that partial comparison is what like sets us to be like, maybe I'm not, because you got a track record. 10 years, a whole decade is a lot, you know? Because like I wonder if like those people, those interns that are coming in like under you are like, oh, like this guy is wild, you know, like they probably get that imposter syndrome.
You know, I've never even thought about it. I've never thought about me from the perspective of someone who's fresh. Never even considered it. So I should thank you for that, because now I can think about it next time. I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I think people also need to remember that it's okay to be wrong. You own up to it if you're incorrect. Hopefully you're not like critically wrong about something to where it like, destroys any type of, environmental stuff in your network. But it is okay to be wrong, and it's okay to own up to it, admit that you were wrong, and then just move past it. So I think people just need to remember that also it's okay to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah, that's really important. And it's good, like you said, you had a safe environment, which is like, you got support, because then that helps you feel like, okay, even if I did make a mistake, I can own up to it or learn from it and then just move forward and then keep growing as an individual. So as you mentioned, like one way like you overcome imposter syndrome, right? Because you're like, oh, it's like in a way giving yourself your self-validation, which is important, right? Like, oh, you got through the interviews of next to a whole bunch of other people, other applicants that there was. What are other ways that you would say that you've overcome imposter syndrome, Because I know, at least for me, it comes at the most random times, and it's like, oh man, like, you shouldn't be feeling like that, but sometimes it just shows up,
I found that educating yourself constantly is a good way to do things, because that's going to prove to be valid. So when I got out of the military, I decided I wanted to go back to school, and I was already working in cybersecurity actually at the time. And I decided I wanted to simultaneously work for my company in cybersecurity and then go back to school and get a degree in cybersecurity, because that would make me feel like I had a better foundational knowledge. Like, it's like, hey, I know what I'm talking about, but also I have some stuff to prove it. I've got some certifications to prove it. And basically what I'm getting at is I think constantly educating yourself is a good way to kind of curb that feeling. Because if you're learning new things, you're not going to feel stagnant. And it's like really, really dangerously easy to stagnate in IT. You fall behind on technology, you fall behind on best practices, you fall behind on the threat landscape if you're in cyber. You fall behind on like the OWASP top 10, like, web application vulnerabilities, because they're always changing and being updated with like new nonsense that people use to get into your crap. So just stay abreast of what's going on. Read articles, educate yourself, just stay in the loop.
Yeah, that's important with
especially
tech.
with IT. Yeah,
it's like,
for me, cybersecurity is very important for me.
It's moving so fast, but if you're staying up to date with latest technologies or making at least the efforts, it keeps you up to date, and then it keeps you, I would say, it keeps increasing your value, right? Because you're always open to continuous learning instead of just stagnating.
And my dad would always tell me that what doesn't grow dies. So you as a person needs to constantly grow throughout your whole life. You should never be satisfied with where you're at from a knowledge and self-growth perspective. You should keep growing. Otherwise, you're going to die in a sense. So hopefully it's not too like dark or anything.
No,
but
that's good. It's good.
Something I live by.
That's true.
Yeah, try to just keep myself occupied, and I'm someone who likes to waste time doing stuff like playing video games, and I've got my hobbies, but those don't consume me 24/7. You have to do things for you that also improve yourself, like exercise and knowledge and stuff like that. So those are things that are important to me.
The health and the mental health,
physical health. Yep.
Yeah.
Emotional health. Can't forget emotional health.
Yes.
We're men, and sometimes that kind of falls to the wayside for us.
I recently went to my first therapy session. I'm like, okay, like I see this.
That's
like,
good.
I'm starting to make the efforts forward with it, because for the longest I was like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
And then I'd have moments where I need it. Like I possibly need it. Everyone's like, you should give it a go. I'm like, okay. Life spoke to me in a certain way, and friends are supporting me, saying I should check it out. But yes, I agree. It's really important. It's
very important. That's good though. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself.
It's
good to admit that too.
With everything going on, so.
Oh yeah. And no one's going to judge you for it. I mean, that's, people, that's stuff that you should be proud of.
Appreciate that.
Of course.
So from these, methods and approaches that you've taken to make sure you don't fall into like let's call it imposter syndrome trap, or negative thoughts, self-doubt, how has your life been different now having implemented those versus when you wouldn't make any like efforts to try to overcome imposter syndrome? Because you said like you knew like cybersecurity, right? Prior to you getting like certifications, like I guess you could probably touch base on like the differences, right? Of like before you were certified and you're like, you know what? I want to solidify like what I know in order to not feel like an imposter. So like how was it different that like switch once you got like your certifications or you continue your knowledge or any efforts that you made to make sure you overcome that?
So I feel like my story kind of played out maybe uniquely. So I was a network engineer in the military, and I got out and I was a network engineer in the civilian world. And my first job, where I was just a contractor, they really liked me. I worked for a company here in San Diego, and so they brought me on full time. And then I was noticed by the security manager, and he wanted to bring me onto his team as a firewall engineer. So that was like my first tiptoe into the security realm, which I had wanted to go that way because everybody knows that like security makes the big bucks. So that's where I wanted to be. So this guy who I had no relationship with just took a chance on me. He really liked veterans. He was a veteran himself. So that opened an opportunity for me, a unique opportunity, because veteran to veteran type thing. And so while I was kind of firewall engineering for a few years, I needed to prove to that team that I could do it. So the certifications kind of proved to them and myself that I have the capacity to do this. Like I can take all this stuff that you guys want me to get trained and certified in, and I can do it. And here's my proof. I'm qualified to be on this team, so I'm not an imposter. And that's what I did at that company. When I was brought on to my current company, they hired me on as a firewall security engineer, and I wanted to transfer to the cloud team, cloud security, because that's where I wanted to go in the long run, in the same situation. So they said, hey, if you get these certifications, then we'll bring you onto the cloud team because you have displayed to us that you can do it. And so that's kind of how it worked out for me, just proving that I could do what I said I could do. That's how certifications have helped me overcome imposter syndrome.
There's no doubt with it, right?
No, I mean, they gave me what they wanted me to know, and I proved I could do it.
You have these opportunities show up in front of you, and then you just put in the work, which I feel like is a big important part, right? Like
totally.
A lot of opportunities get presented in front of people, but you got to also put the effort. And then once you put the effort, then you're like, okay, like you're able to not prove only to other people, but most importantly to yourself. Like, I can do this. So it's like,
exactly.
And they wouldn't keep you around if it wasn't that you can't do it.
That's true.
That you're not able to do it. So.
Yeah, I have found that, this might be a controversial statement, but I have found that success in life, there's a certain amount of luck to it. Like, I don't think anybody becomes successful purely based on their own drive. There are probably millions of people on this planet who work way harder than I do and who are less successful than me. But I was at the right place at the right time. At some points, I met the right people. And so I would say a certain percentage of my just overall success is due to luck. And I would freely admit that. And hard work as well. You have to put in the hours and show people that you can do what you're claiming to do. But I hate when people get down that they're just trying so hard and just nothing seems to turn up for them. And so I tell them sometimes, like, keep at it, but there's a little bit of luck involved. And sometimes you have to make your own luck. That's a thing. But for the most part, opportunity doesn't always present itself to everybody the same way.
Dang, that's so good. It's not the first time I've heard that too, and it's true.
Anybody who knows that there's luck.
Yes. Like, I read this book called Outliers, or listened to this book called Outliers, and explained the story of Bill Gates. And how when he got into computers was because he was in a certain position. So they explained how the importance of luck, that he was in a certain position where he had the opportunity to get to use a computer. So he was available, or there was a computer available for him to use when other people didn't have access to that. So he got lucky because of like people that he knew or whatever. So that luck opened the doors wide open for him, and the rest is history. So like, it's crazy that you say that, because there's a lot of stories that I've heard in like books too, or other podcasts where they're like, yeah, like, yes, hard work and everything, you get like opportunities in front of you, but it's like luck with the right place at the
Exactly,
right time.
man. And people have to remember that like anybody could have been a Bill Gates or a Steve Jobs or a Jeff Bezos. You know, these people were just at the right place at the right time, and most of them had money. So let's not forget that. You know, a lot of these people that are starting out that have nothing and have grown to be millionaires or billionaires, the people that have nothing have worked almost certainly harder than the people that, you know, started off at a higher spot. So that's like a whole nother conversation.
No, yeah, it's good points though. Like I'm like reflecting on my I guess my story in a way. Like as my most recent job that I have, I want to say luck, because when I was looking, I was finishing up some freelance and I was like, man, like I'm not liking this freelance. It's too like, you know, sometimes I get 40 hours, sometimes I get 20 hours. Like
I remember when you were freelancing.
It was great, but it was fluctuating too much, you know, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I need something more steady. And I happened to look on LinkedIn, and it happens to be that I met someone at our CrossFit gym that was an acquaintance that worked at some company, and because of me knowing them, and them being able to refer me, I really believe that 90% of the reason I got that job is because I was referred by him.
Networking is so important. And I would never deny that. And so I think like being polite and professional to everybody you meet is very important. That's something I definitely live by. I make friends with as many people as I can. And you just treat everyone with a certain level of respect. And that goes far with a lot of people, especially in like the professional world. So you look someone in the eye, you shake their hand. How are you doing? The women as well. You know, you treat everyone the same. And that goes really far with people. The way you present yourself goes really far with people.
Yeah.
So.
I've had a lot of occurrences where, like you said, you meet people, you just have like, you're polite to them, you have a good initial relationship or whatever. And there's times where I don't even talk to these people for, say, a couple years. And then an opportunity arises 3 years later, and it so happens to be that person I met, I'm able to either collaborate with them or have some kind of like when I used to do photography, like I got a lot of clients because of people that I knew that had met years before, you know, and it's exactly to add to the point of what you're saying. It's like being kind, having like good relations with people sometimes will open doors for you. If not now, you know, it could be in the future, you know?
Absolutely.
Like,
I agree.
You're here with me right now. To me, like,
I know
this is like, you know, it's supporting me. Like, I didn't think of this when I first met you, but now we're here.
Yeah. When we were at 858 together, when we didn't know each other, you can never imagine what the future is going to be like with people that you just don't know unless you say hi. So, and that's kind of how it started with our little CrossFit group.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, man, no regrets on that. And I am always saying that I know a lot of people that are in the IT space, and you are like one of the only people that I think is really going to make it someday. And so I'm always joking to keep me on your like higher list, because, you know, there are like tiers of what people want in life, you know, and some people are perfectly okay with making a good amount of money and just living a very comfortable kind of steady paced life. But you strike me as one of those people who has their eyes set on the top, dude. And I think you can do it. I really do. So remember me when you're opening up your own company and you need a cybersecurity manager.
Yeah, man, that means a lot. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Because that touches, you know, deep inside for me, because that's exactly what I like. I'm just like always.
There's something about certain people, and it's like, it's hard to describe, but you've got it. Like this drive, and I don't have it. Like, you've got it, I don't have it. I have a certain amount of drive that like keeps me, you know, wanting to do better and better in my job and get raises and stuff. But you've got like this like billionaire vibe about you, man. I don't know what it is.
It's been documented.
I think I call it. I said it here first. I said it here first.
You said it here first. Yes, he did. He did.
I think I only have a millionaire vibe, but you've got the billionaire vibe.
I really appreciate that, man. Like, you're literally speaking to everything that like I reflect on, and
you're doing all this, and you've got so many other avenues of things that you work on with your social media and all that stuff, and it's just it's impressive, man. So I think that you can do it.
I appreciate that, and definitely, man. I see, just like I was saying, right? You don't know, or you said it too. You don't know what will come in the future, right? Because we would just see each other at the gym. I would say like occasional highs, then in turn to like. Somehow I was able to like.
I don't even remember.
I think remember. Y'all were hanging out already, and I was like, hey, like, I don't know how it happened. Maybe Lyric mentioned it, and I was like, hey, like, come through. We're gonna play that one game, Jungle something. Where you gotta
Jungle
snatch.
Speed, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I think it just set off from there, right? Then we started going to get food and going out, discussions, and then right now we're here. And then I always see it as like, based on what you just said, right? 2 years down the line, something, you know, the universe could align, and the next thing you know, it's like, hey man, exactly what you said. Oh, if when you need someone, I'll be like, hey, I need someone, and then
man,
just the ultimate collaboration.
Try to build more bridges than you burn. That's really all there is to it. So, you know, me and you, we're good friends. We don't talk every day, but we talk enough to like maintain the relationship, and that's important.
And we have a lot of things in common.
Yeah, we do.
Cars, coffee.
Yes, cars, definitely cars.
Gym,
that's probably
yes,
number one. Cars and fitness, it's like competitive right there.
All day. I'm telling you, like if you have a day with like fitness, and then you throw some cars and coffee in there. Well, and that's maybe some food too. I can't keep food out of there. I can't help it.
That's true.
I love me some food.
That's the great thing about fitness people is they love to eat for the most part. Most of them, I mean, you know, if they're following a really strict diet, they might be following their diet, but usually in their like off season or whatever you want to call it, they love to throw down. And I just love hanging out with people who love to eat.
It's just some type of vibe, right?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Dinner, like what place? We threw down at the pizza place. We threw down at the.
Do you remember after we did the Festivus game
with
thing?
The chicken?
Yes.
Cross Street
Chicken.
I love that
Kearney
place.
Mesa, I think it was.
We need to set up another.
That's true.
Another foodie thing.
I know, man. Yeah, next time you're down here, for sure.
I think I should be back in October, so.
Okay. That'll be cool. Yeah, I mean,
to,
at least me, you, and Lyric, right? Because Lee, I'm not sure when he's going to be back, but, you know, me, you, and Lyric should hang out. Because I'll be gone soon. Portland, I think, early next year.
But that'll be an excuse for us to go over there, which I will be a short flight away.
That's true. And I'll have the space. Yeah. I'll have the space because these like tiny ass little houses they build here in San Diego, it's just like ridiculous. They're so expensive.
I know.
Yeah.
On a whole other conversation.
Yeah, seriously.
I want to end it with you, if you could share what you believe is some words of wisdom or tips for anyone that is pursuing their own definition of success, and you would say, you know, with your life experience, all the different experiences that you've had, what words of wisdom would you give them? And
I almost don't even feel entitled to give people words of wisdom, because what do I know?
Don't give yourself that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, right. You got imposter.
You got a lot, man. Like everyone's unique in their own way and brings something different to the table of like high value. You know.
I agree. I think that's tough. It really is tough because life is so different for each person. Opportunities are so unique, but I think really what it comes down to is what I have found is the best for being successful is not necessarily always like pursuing what you're good at. Some people might say that, like, if you want to be successful, pursue what you're good at. That's true. But I think it's surrounding yourself with like-minded people who always have ambitious goals, and they talk about them. They don't keep them to themselves. They talk about them, and you encourage them to talk about them. Like when I got my raise at my company, you guys, my friend group that we have, you guys were the first people I told. You guys are so proud of me, and you know, so is my wife, so is my family, and so I'm motivated by almost kind of like a rivalry with some of my very intelligent friends that I have, like yourself. Another best friend of mine who works for Microsoft, me and him just always go back and forth on like who's making more money. And so sometimes I think it's important to pair yourself up with somebody who motivates you to be better. And so, and just surround yourself with people who motivate you to be better, because there's some saying, and I can't remember it. I'm not even going to try to quote it, but you know, successful people hang out with successful people. They're motivated by the successful people, and you know, bad company hangs out with bad company, and you just kind of fall to the wayside. So my advice is to surround yourself with people who are going to help you succeed and want to see you succeed. Most importantly, they want to see you succeed.
Sure. It's just like, you want to be fit. What do? You surround yourself
with fitness people. Yep. That's it. You know, it's like, my wife loves fitness just as much as I do. She's probably in better shape than me. You're definitely in better shape than me, but you know, you guys keep me motivated to keep going to the gym and, you know, get my steps in, do my cardio, eat a little bit better. And life is long. There's plenty of time to exercise, and there's plenty of time to eat a bunch of junk food, but it's just finding a balance of all of it, and surrounding yourself with people who are helping you get to the goals you want to get to. So people with healthy habits, I think, is probably what I'm trying to summarize there. Healthy work habits, healthy health habits. So, yeah.
I appreciate your testimony, Jeff, and everything that you've shared and conversation you've had with me.
Yeah,
and
man.
Thanks for being on and taking the time. Wise words.
It was nice having you in my home.
Yes, I love your setup in here. But thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, Izzy.